Welcome to Treasures. Today we're going to explore together a remarkable treasure. So stay with us as we'll start our exploration after the break. Our treasure is located in the heart of Islamic Cairo. Actually, we're coming to you from the street of Al-Mu'izz Lidinillah. And our treasure of today is the 14th century AD mosque and madrasa of the Sultan Al-Zahir Barquq. Actually, he was the founder of a new family. He was the founder of the Borgi Mamluks. The Sultan Barquq complex is located next door to Nasser Muhammad ibn Qalawun's complex. Barquq's complex was built between 1384 and 1386 AD. The architect Shihab al-Din Ahmad ibn Muhammad al-Tuluni, who belonged to a family of court architects and surveyors, was in charge of part of the construction. The name of Jarkas el-Khalili, the master of Barquq's horse and the founder of the famous Khan al-Khalili, appears in the inauguration inscription on the facade and in the courtyard. Sultan Barquq was of Circassian origin, recruited under the Turkish Bahari Mamluks. The Circassians were subjects of the Tartar Golden Horde and were first imported to Egypt as slave troops by Qalawun in the 13th century. After being freed in 1363 AD, Barquq established his dominance in the Mamluk government in 1382 AD. Now I'm happy to have with me a researcher and lecturer as well as well-known tour guide, Mr. Ahmed Abu Ala. Ahmed, I'd like first to start by asking you about the location. Why did the Sultan Barquq choose this area, the street of Al-Mu'izz Lidinillah al-Fatimi, to be the location of his burial?
First of all, the Great Street is the main street in central Cairo and medieval Cairo. So most of the Mamluk sultans were keen to acquire pieces of lands that remaining from the Fatimid palaces and gardens that used to cover the whole area here. So right here we are standing behind the palace of the Fatimid Sultan. So this area used to be gardens, but the gardens and the cemeteries of the Fatimid broken into smaller lots. And during the Mamluk period, sultans and emirs were keen to buy lands in this area. And that's how the Great Street turned during the Ayyubide period and the Mamluk period into small lots on both sides of the road. And that's how we ended up with number of Mamluk lands. One generation after another, building on the roadside. Started with Qalawun, then Al-Nasir Muhammad, son of Qalawun, then Barquq later on, 1382, bought this piece of land and started the construction of his great complex, which mosque, madrasa, and a tomb for the Sultan and his family. This is how Sultan Barquq came to build right on the main street during his period of ruling. Sultan Barquq is a unique person. First of all, why we call him Barquq?
Yes, please.
Because he has got such protruding eyes to look like two blooms, and that's why they call him Barquq, because the eyes look like two blooms. Sultan Barquq never born in Egypt. He was born in 1340. Came to Egypt to join the army of the Mamluks around the age of 20. Served as a military Mamluk captain, then was escalated in the army till he became like a general. Around 1380, something happened in Egypt. The end of Sultan Qalawun family came to the time of someone called Sultan Shaban Ali, who died suddenly, leave behind his little baby. He was only 6 years old. His name is Ali. Little 6 years old Ali happened to be the Sultan of Egypt, the end of the Qalawun family. The two generals and the big emirs in his army happened to be the guardian of the throne. So Barquq was one of the two guardians of the throne of little Ali. But after 1 year, the boy was too helpless, too powerless. And everybody elected Barquq to be the Sultan. And that's how it happened. Sultan Barquq stepped in, took the throne, took the crown, and became the Sultan of Egypt. This is a very interesting change and shift of power. The end of one dynasty and the beginning of a new dynasty. So Sultan Qalawun established the early Mamluk governorship. Sultan Barquq established the second generation of the Mamluks. We call them Circassian Mamluk because he was born near the Caspian Sea, which nowadays Georgia, Kazakhstan. So he hardly spoke in Arabic, but he lived in Egypt most of his life, and he showed a great skills of leadership. He was smart. He was able to offer a lot of help to the Egyptians. People loved him, tax cuts of all kinds, and that's why he was well loved and very popular at that time. After a few years ruling, there is a military coup against Barquq himself from inside. And other emirs and generals decided to get rid of him. And that's why he escaped. He was exiled for 1 year in the famous fort in South Jordan Desert the fort of Barquq, where he was imprisoned for 1 year. During this 1 year, other sultans were in power. Then his fans and friends and emirs traveled all the way to the desert of Jordan, brought him back to Egypt, and reinstate him one more time. So when we talk about Barquq, we talk about the first period of Barquq, the second period of Barquq. The construction of this great complex never started until the second period of Barquq.
Yeah.
This construction started in 1382, 1383.
Would you please tell us about the complex itself of the Sultan Barquq?
Sultan Barquq, when he returned from exile, he decided to buy a piece of land in what used to be the gardens of the Fatimid. So he bought this lot, which rectangular in shape, more or less 50 meters wide on the main road, and almost 100 meters deep. And his famous architect, Shahab al-Din al-Tuluni, which a very famous family in Egypt, worked extensively in constructions during the Mamluk period, and they built number of buildings to number of Mamluk sultans. They actually put this incredible design. It's a beautiful complex with a facade facing east and an open courtyard with the dome above the tomb and the minaret north of the dome itself. So right on the facade, we will see the entrance, we'll see the dome, and we'll see the minaret. The minaret is one of a kind. It's one of the most beautiful minarets in all in Islamic architecture. Well known with the circles intersecting one another. Those circles on top used to be inlaid with colored marble. It's no longer exist, which a system in Mamluk period called al-ablaq. So the marble was intercated one another in an ablaq style. And on top we do have the pillars that carry the round top here. So the minaret, the dome, and the entrance is the three main elements before we enter inside and see the complex.
So let's go.
Let's go.